This is the plaintiff, Mary Mazer. She says she hired the defendant to put a new roof on her garage after Hurricane Sandy destroyed it. The thief stole $2,000 cash from an envelope of money she had in her car, started her roof job, and then took off a half an hour later. She's sick and tired of being treated like an old dumb lady when she is still alive, still kicking, and still fighting for what's right. She's suing for $2,550, the amount stolen and the cost of a polygraph test. This is the defendant, Michael Signa. He says the plaintiff handed him an envelope with what she said was $3,000 in cash for the roofing job. He counted it out in front of her, and there was only $1,000 in it. He politely suggested she may have made a counting error, and that's when she flipped out and accused him of stealing from her. The cops were called. He agreed to being searched and also agreed to a polygraph test, and they found nothing. Bottom line, he didn't steal this crazy lady's money, and he thinks the judge is going to agree. He's accused of being sticky-fingered. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $850. For all, he's out.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. Mary Mazer?
Yes.
You are suing Michael Signa and his company. You've asked us not to mention the company name. For $2,550, $2,000 of it money you say he stole from you, and $550 the amount to pay for a polygraph test that you want him to take and pay for. You have a counterclaim against her for $850, $680 loss of work, $120 for a tarp, and $50 for wooden supplies. Tell me what happened.
Okay. Because of Hurricane Sandy, I had the neighbor's tree fall on the roof. And the roof, the fence, and the doors were damaged. We made the arrangements for him to come start work. I had the money from more than enough money from the insurance company to cover everything. I told Michael I would be there prior to him arriving. In the meantime, the night before, I counted $3,000 in my house cash. Because I know he wanted half the money to buy supplies and pay for labor.
And you had the $3,000 in cash in your house?
Yes, because I have tenants. Tenants pay me in cash. And also I had more than enough money from the insurance.
So you counted $3,000.
And at night, and then again in the morning after I had coffee, because I wanted to be there by 8:30.
So you counted it at night and you counted it again in the morning?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and who do you live with?
My son and I have a two-family house, so I have tenants.
Okay, so go on.
Okay, so I arrived early. Michael came later, and his crew started to break down the rest of the roof and started to do their work. It was a day where it was off.
Before you got a penny from her? That was stupid.
Well, she signed the contract.
Yeah, I know, but still, don't you demand a deposit before you start working for people?
Yes and no. The way she worked, she called us months before.
No, I was just curious why you started working.
Well, I show up that day, I get money when I get there.
Well, apparently you hadn't yet, and your guys were already working.
Well, they were working.
And then we had a problem, and now look at us. Go ahead.
I have the contract.
Yeah, all right, and then?
All right. So the men were working, and Michael came shortly later and said he was going to go order the supplies and would like to have the money. I said, come to my car so he can get the...
Where was it in your car?
In the trunk of my car.
How long had it been in the trunk?
From 8:30 to maybe about 9:30.
Was anyone else in the car with you?
No, absolutely
So
not.
you get there, and then he gets there, then he comes to the car.
Yes, and it started to rain hard. So I said, Michael, sit in the back seat of the car. I did not go in the back for safety reasons. And I wanted to go in the front seat
And did
so
you?
I could read the contract. Yes,
Okay.
because I did not have his contract
Okay,
yet.
so you hand them the envelope.
Yes, and I have the contract and I'm sitting.
Okay, but I don't understand. You're handing him an envelope full of money and you're not watching him count it?
Well, because He's in the back, and I have to read the contract.
Not that second. You might want to watch him take the
Well,
money out of the envelope.
this
So
is what-
what happens? You get the envelope.
She gives me the envelope. She's looking at me. She's sitting in the driver's seat facing me. She says this. She says, you know, I don't have the 33 that you asked for because it was 6,200. So I said 3,000 is fine. She says, oh, I have that. I got it from my tenant last night. We counted it. I start counting it. It's all 20s and 2 10s. I lay down on the seat. I say, Mary, we're having a problem. I said, there's 2,000 missing. She turns around. She's looking down at the paper. She turns around. She says, where's the 50s and the 100s? I don't know. So at first I really thought maybe she dropped it somewhere. So I stay right next to her the whole time. I don't go anywhere. I don't go to my truck. I don't go to my guys. I got one guy that was next to the car the whole time. I'm like, all right, Mary, where'd you get it? She goes in a trunk. We go in the trunk. We look for it. We look underneath the seats. I said, Mary, where'd you count? She said, in my house. So she goes home. I said, well, maybe it's on the table, you know. She goes home. She comes back.
At this point, when she calls the cops, does she accuse you?
I call the cops.
You called the cops?
Yes.
Because you didn't want to get accused of anything.
Exactly. I got a business to run.
Okay.
I got 10 guys, 12 guys any given day. I got trucks. I got material. I don't
So
need
you
house
call
money.
the cops and what happens?
I had them come up. They came to the job. And now I had 4 or 5 cop cars around my truck. Cop asks me, do you have a wallet? And I said, yeah, it's in the van. He says, how much you think you got in? I said, about 20,000. He's like, 20,000? That's a lot of money. I said, I work. I said, I pay my guys. I pay for material. I get jobs. I said, I was going to make 4,000 off her job. This job was 6,200. Why would I steal 2,000 and have to come here? So either way, she goes home. She can't find it. She comes back. She's bugging out.
Wait. When the police are there at the scene, is she saying she thinks you took it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, she is. Well, backtrack then and tell me about that. When did she first start to accuse you of taking it? What did she say to you?
She says, where's the rest of the 100s and the 50s? I said, I don't have any. There's only 20s and 2 10s. I said, it's an even 1,000. I said, there's $2,000 missing. She's like, I don't know. They're in your shoes. She's having the cop go through my shoes.
Did the cop search you?
Oh, I told him he can. He could do everything he wants.
And did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have the police report?
I don't have the police report.
Do you have the police report?
Yes.
May I see it?
Yes.
Then the officer also told me that he knows her. She has problems with her tenants a lot. And, he's been there before.
All right, that doesn't mean anything. Who's the fellow with you?
He's just a friend.
Was he there?
No.
Okay. You told the police officer you were willing to go take a polygraph?
Yes, ma'am.
What he said is not.
Can I ask you a question? Because only one of 2 things could possibly have happened. You're mistaken, and there was only 1,000 in there.
No, impossible.
Either because you counted it wrong, or somebody else in your house took it.
Impossible.
Or he stole the 2,000.
No.
Okay, so how are you going to prove that it's one versus the other when you're not looking?
All right. What he said is not exactly correct. In the beginning, I left the money for him to count in the back, and I went to read his contract.
You're sitting in the front seat.
Stop.
When I turned around, he was bending over. There was no $100 bills piled on the seat, but he was bending down like this. For the split second, I couldn't say anything. I just said, correct the contract. He rewrote it and gave it back to me. And I looked
When he told you that there was only 1,000 in the envelope, he says you told him, take off your shoes. You were bent
impossible.
over. I understand. And so when he told you there's only 1,000 in here, Mary, he says you told him you put it in your shoe. Did he take off his shoes and show you?
No.
And according to you, you took off your shoes and
Yes,
showed
I
him.
did.
You
Before
did.
the police. No, ma'am, take a step back. Take a step back.
He pulled
In her back seat, her car is a small little car. I barely can even get in there. All right. So when she said you put the money in your shoes, I jumped right out of my shoes. And not only did I jump out of my shoes, I stood right by her side because the way she was going. I really honestly thought she was, lost it. Now I know she was robbing me.
I don't think she was robbing. I think
she wanted me to do the job for
very much
4,200.
believes there was 3,000 in there.
I would love it to be 3,000. I would have loved to get 4,000.
I'm pretty confident about what I'm saying. I really think that she really thinks there were 3,000. Now, in order to win a lawsuit, you would have to prove that there were. What happened with the 1,000 that was there? You just walked off after that?
No, I gave it back to her. I called the
You
cop.
gave her the 1,000 and then you walked off the job?
I gave her, oh, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't walk off the job.
No, I understand. Based on the circumstances,
Yes, ma'am.
you thought it best to perhaps not continue. I understand. So because she's accusing you of theft. Now, let me ask you a question, Ms. Mazur. Why would a fellow who's in business, who stands to make a profit off of doing your roof, he's in the business of making a profit, who has, by the way, did the officer count the money in your wallet?
He's seen the wallet. That was it. He looked at it.
He looked at the outside of the wallet and saw it was brown leather?
He unzipped it. I unzipped the wallet. He looked in. That's it.
Was it really $20,000 in your wallet?
Yeah.
He had.
And what kind of bills?
Hundreds. Oh, he looked in. She said there was 50. It says not 150 in my wallet.
Why did the police officer write any of this stuff down? All the police officer says, they're disputing over a roof. I mean, is it so hard?
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Can people beat a polygraph test? Can they actually say something and it's not true, but it comes off as true?
They probably can, yes. If they believe it's the truth, then yeah, if it's their version.
Can a psychopath create the truth in his head and then beat the lie detector?
I think so. It depends how intelligent they are and how much they believe in their own fake story.
Do you think it's intelligent or do you think it's deceit? Intelligence or deceit? What do you think?
I think it's deceit.
So somebody who's really good at deceit can beat the lie detector?
Yeah, I think they can.
I think they can too. Going inside the courtroom.
Was the envelope she gave you open or closed?
Open.
It wasn't licked?
No, not at all. It looked like there was 3,000 in there because it was all 20s. It was this fat.
Right.
I said, okay. I'm counting the money on the back seat. I was like, Mary,
I don't understand what the point of counting cash is if both people aren't paying attention. I just don't understand. We wouldn't be here if instead of reading, why don't you wait to read and just sit there and watch them count the money? That is how it's done. When cash is going from one end to the other, you go.
Yep.
You count it. You count it. And then you lick your finger again after you've touched filthy money, and then you keep counting it. That's how it's done. First of all, I need you to stand at the podium, like everybody else has to say. I just don't understand why it is you weren't looking. If you had been looking, you could see the things you're claiming happened,
Right.
or that they didn't happen.
But I expected
What would be the man's motive to cheat you?
Ask him.
How much is? Oh, he says you're wrong. That you're just wrong about it.
No,
How much money you got in your wallet right now?
Couple of 1,000.
How much?
Couple thousand.
Hand me your wallet.
No, you're good. I'll take it. I won't open it.
Watch me. This is how it's done. I don't go like this. I don't do anything else. I go like this. That is a lot of cash. Wait. Yes, he does. Make sure security walks him out. This is a lot more than 2,000, like 3,000 or 4,000. He is a businessman. He walks around with this kind of cash. Why does he need to steal money from a nice lady like you? Maybe you're mistaken.
Never.
Okay, good. You're never mistaken. I'm mistaken. How are you never mistaken? Seldom right, never in doubt. I hate that idea.
Not
okay?
on this.
Look, let me tell you something. Only one of two things. Dude, you want to come here and look? I'm not taking my shoes off, but if you want to look. Were you watching me? Because I saw you hanging your head down. I want to make sure. You come over here and you tell him there's nothing here.
He's good. It's clear.
Listen, what would be his motive? I find that there's I guess you could be a thief, and even though you have all that cash on you, but it's unlikely because now he lost the profit that he would have made on your business. So it's kind of weird. But more importantly, you have no evidence, and you're the one with the burden of proof. You have to be able to prove he stole it. And all you have is a hunch he stole it because you're by golly confident that that envelope had it when you counted it the day before and when you counted it again that morning, and then you put it in a trunk. Okay. I don't think you've proven your case. Now, you have a counterclaim against her for what?
Labor, material, whatever material I had to, even though she accused me of robbing, I'm not a thief. I'm not that kind of guy to leave somebody's roof open. So when it was ever open, I put plywood over the holes and topped off her roof.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Show me proof you paid $680.
I don't have any of that.
Because you deal in cash, right? There's a good part. Look at me when I'm talking to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at me. You're still not looking at me.
Yeah.
There's good parts about paying cash and bad parts about
Yes,
paying
ma'am.
cash, and this is one of the bad parts. I am going to order you to pay, since I find that you're unable to prove that he stole your money, the $170 reimbursement for him being nice enough to cover your roof after you've accused him of being a thief, which you have no proof of, and cover up your roof so that you wouldn't have. You don't understand the kind of thing that could have happened if he had just told his men to walk off and left your roof untarped and without plywood. I'm really glad that you showed some humanity and did that. As far as your claim against him, 0. As far as his counterclaim against you, $170. That's my verdict.
Great day, Your Honor. Thank you.
And so with that, the plaintiff exits the courtroom right over here, ma'am. Unable to prove. You may think you know what happened, but it's another thing to prove it.
I know what happened.
What happened?
He stole $2,000.
Why would he do that? Is there any possibility that you may have made a mistake?
Absolutely
How do you know?
not.
How do you know?
I know how to count $3,000.
What do you think could have
And
happened?
put it in an envelope. He stole it.
Have you looked in the car?
He stole it when I turned around to sign his contract right there. He wrote.
Why
those
didn't you
words.
watch while he was counting the money? You're
Because
supposed to
he's
watch.
in the back and I'm sitting in
So,
the front
look.
reading this.
So, like-
I expected an honest man, not someone who's going to steal from me.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about what happened. And head right down this way with Officer McIntosh, please. All right. So come on in here. What do you think happened?
The right thing. You know, she may be a sweet little old lady, but it doesn't mean she's not a thief.
You think
know?
she's a thief?
Yes, I do.
You really think so?
She's trying to get me to do a job for 42 for the balance.
Look me right in the eye.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I ain't doing it for 42.
All right. Harvey?
Real simple point here. You can't win a case off of a theory that something happened. You got to have some proof. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.